I'm Katie, and I identify as queer, and my pronouns are they, she, but you can use he too. Why not? He. Any of them.
I'm Cedar. My pronouns are they, he. I identify as non-binary trans-masc person and generally as queer.
Okay, what is queerness to you, and what does that look like?
Self-expression and magic and fluidity. So just being true to yourself and leaning into joy wherever it finds you and not being afraid to step outside of the norms and binaries that other people can put on you or you can put on yourself. And celebration too. Celebration and joy.
I feel like defining queerness is a lot more difficult for me than imagining what it looks like and what it feels like. I think that it feels and looks very fluid, and it kind of like falls through your fingers a little bit, like kinetic sand, you know, in those ads when we were kids. It just falls through your fingers, and it's stable and it's strong when it's together, but it's also fluid. It just falls through your fingertips, and it looks like every body of water ever. I don't want to just put it in and make it just a river or an ocean or a pond, but it just feels very fluid to me. It feels like water. And I think that water exists in so many forms. You've got snow, you've got sleet, which Burlington, Vermont loves. You've got rain, you've got water that's soaked into the earth. It's in the dirt, it's in the soil, it's in clay, it's in mountaintops, it's in oceans, it's in streams, it's in your body. So it's just, I feel queerness is everywhere. I feel it's liquid and it's everywhere, even if you don't notice it, even if you can't really see it, it's there.
When did you first begin to understand or explore your queer identity?
I first started questioning my queer identity around when I was 10. I was one of the only girls on the boys' soccer team, and I showed up to the first practice and they all thought I was a boy. And when I told my mom later that night, she was comforting me, saying that it was okay and I was beautiful and all kinds of girls have short hair. And I just didn't care, and I was confused why she thought it was upsetting to me. And I guess I was more questioning it because everybody else around me was questioning my sexuality when I wasn't really that pressed about it. But everybody just wanted to know what I was, when I was going to come out as a lesbian. And I guess just throughout high school, it was all intermingled with my gender identity, and it was all just big questions all at the same time. And for a while, I was just really stuck on trying to find a label, and then I just realized that it didn't really matter as long as I knew that I was being true to myself.
I think that queerness kind of, for me, shows up a lot in the way that I carry myself and exist in the world, and not necessarily be perceived, but how you're reflecting what's inside. I feel like every queer person says this, but everyone knew I was queer before I knew I was queer. And I think it was just because I felt super uncomfortable in skinny jeans, and that's really when I knew I was queer. And I don't know if I need to elaborate on that, but I think that it was feeling simultaneously comfortable in every part of myself, but also not the parts of myself that other people wanted me to be comfortable in.
So, when was the first time that you felt truly seen in your queerness?
Ooh. Truly seen.
That's such a good question. Wow.
I think seen by myself was, and I know that a lot of other people had this experience, but it was during COVID. It was when I was alone with myself and I got to look at myself and really see myself. And I think once I started seeing myself, other people started to really see me and saw who I am and not just what I look like or not just what they thought I was and they thought I should be. And I think it was specifically senior year of high school, and I just cut my hair a little short, not too short. I think that's when I saw myself. It was kind of like I'm getting this image of the Hunger Games when PETA in Catching Fire is cutting back the vines. So me. That's so me with my hair. And I just was like, there I am. Yeah.
First time I really felt seen in my queerness was through the relationship with my sister Zoe, and how she's never, not in an uncaring way, but just in a way that she's never really cared what I am. She just cares that I'm happy, and I came out to her as so many different things throughout my life, and every time she's just been excited and wanted to know more and how she can support me. And I think I first actually said that I was queer in some way to her maybe when I was 14, 15, and she said, yeah, cool, me too. And I don't know, it was never a question of if I was going to be loved or not. And our sisterhood, even though I'm not a girl anymore, has always been a wonderful space for that.
What aspects of your identity feel the most affirming to you?
Some of the most affirming aspects of my identity are really in my sexuality and romantic sides, and especially in my current relationship and just in T for T love in general. It's just a magical space to explore and not have any expectations put on you, and it's really opened up a whole world for me for exploration and curiosity and just more within myself. I think the aspects of just getting to play around with style and gender presentation and just all kinds of fun, never being constricted to one way or another. I think when I first came out, I was really focused on the binary and just really clinging to that as a lifeline for being able to prove to people that my transness was worth something and that it was worth being respected because I could prove that I was one side of the binary. Really just in hopes of being gendered correctly. And another aspect that's been so important in my affirmation has been just hormones, and it really is life-saving and it's life-giving too, and it's been really wonderful.
Life-saving and life-giving. That is so powerful.
Thank you.
What aspects of your identity feel the most affirming to you?
Connecting with people. I think that I am very lucky in that I feel that when I express openness, people return that. They return it. And I think when two people's walls are down, so many beautiful things can happen. And I think that I am blessed to live in a place where queer people are everywhere, and I just form these really delicious connections with so many people, because I think a lot of queer people also have that same attitude of just letting your wall down. I think queer people often let their walls down a lot to find, at least in my experience, to find those connections and to make other people feel welcome, queer or not, but just that I feel that queer people know what it's like to be excluded or confused or hurt or feel unaccepted. And so I think we lead with a lot of radical acceptance and a lot of openness that we share with the world. And I think that that is one of my favorite parts of myself. And I can't help but feel that that is also what intertwines me into the queer community. Not just my gender identity or my sexuality, but also my love of all people and empathy and warmness and connection.
What's a part of your identity that took a longer time to love, or a long time to love? Or that you struggled to love?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it took me a really long time to come to terms with my transness, and obviously I can only speak for myself, but I have a lot of trans people close to me that I really love, and I think a shared experience is deconstructing transphobia within yourself and without yourself. And I think I just had a really hard time realizing that I could be trans and happy, and that I wouldn't have to be stealth. And if I could meet myself at 13 or 15, 17, I really think that would have done a lot for me. And it makes me really proud of myself for where I am now. And I really do love my transness now. It's one of my favorite things about myself. And nobody can take that away from me, and I think that's really important.
What's a part of your identity that took time to love?
Oh, damn.
I know, that's a pretty big one.
A part of my identity that took me a long time to love. My body. I know that that's, I don't care if that's a basic answer. It feels like a universal thing for a reason. I feel like I was a little bit trapped in my body, and I think that I really felt that with growing up and feeling odd, and it's like I was wearing somebody else's skin and I didn't like it, and I sometimes still feel like that, but I think the queerness and giving yourself that ability to change the way you present or the way you dress or the way you exist while still being in the same body is it's a challenging thing, and it's something I have yet to master. But I think that I've come so far in loving the little meat sack that I was gifted with. And I think that I've become so grateful for what it does for me every day, and that I can walk around and smell flowers and, you know what, no, not smell flowers, smell campfire and petrichor, if you don't know what that word is. I think it's such a good smell. It's the smell of rain on the hot pavement. It's so good. I don't know the science behind it, but it's delicious. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think that was a big part of me that was hard to accept, because it's what you see every day. You can't hide from that. You can't hide from your reflection sometimes, and I think having queerness to lean on has helped me be more caring for my skin and for my vessel. Yeah.
How has your relationship with your family and friends evolved as you've explored your queerness?
Yeah, I've been extremely lucky, and I am extremely lucky that my family in general has been super loving and nothing but accepting and trying to evolve with me and asking questions in a respectful manner and asking if it's okay to ask questions. And yeah, I really have lucked out. In terms of friends, I am only really in contact with a few people from my hometown, and I was pleasantly shocked at the amount of people in my small rural hometown in Maine that have just been like so excited for me and happy for me, genuinely, regardless of, you know, where they stand in terms of politics, and just have been adamant in their support and love for me, no matter what my gender is. And that's really been wonderful. I will also say that I do have a grandmother and an aunt that I'm not in contact with anymore, partially because they kept misgendering me and dead naming me, amongst other problematic things. And I just decided that loving myself and my own safety was more important than their misunderstanding and their inability to evolve as people.
What does queerness mean beyond identity? And does it influence how you see the world, love, create, or resist?
Hold up. Damn. So you mean like queerness outside of sexuality?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because it's so much more than that. And that's what a lot of people don't understand and like immediately write off.
I think queerness is not just sexuality, which I think I mentioned before. It's not just sexuality and gender, but it's a redirect from the norm. I think that change happens when you jump outside of the lines. And I think that people that have changed the world have not done so by following the rules and staying in the boxes that they were placed in. So, hell yeah, that is an incredible question. I kind of want to put that on my body in tattoo form. So, queerness and what it means beyond sexuality and how I use it, or it can be used to love, create, or resist. Yeah. Actually, my answer stands there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I can't also help but think of like neurodiversity too right now.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, you know, queer is also a word for weird or strange. And I think that so many people are seen as weird or strange based on something about them that isn't just sexuality. And I think that people of all kinds that deviate from the norm are the ones that make history, and the ones who make change, and the ones who can throw a wrench in those gears of society and get shit done. Queerness gets shit done. That's all I gotta say.
When I say I'm queer, I do not just mean in my gender and my sexuality. It's also the way I view the world, and part of the questioning of my gender and sexuality and all that it's brought, the struggles and the joy and everything in between and beyond, really has opened up a world of just realizing that you don't ever know all the answers, and you aren't ever going to be able to know every perspective. And I really see queerness in general as a viewpoint as just embracing ambiguity and unknown, and being able to sit in the discomfort of not knowing the answers, and also looking to other people for help and looking to other people for their perspectives. And I think part of the beauty of queerness is not always knowing the answers and being able to look to others for support, and gaining the beauty of acknowledging and exploring other identities and perspectives and opportunities.
What unlearning have you had to do based on societal shit that has been placed on you as a queer person?
That is a heavy question. I think that only so much is taught in schools, and to be honest, only so much can be taught in schools. I think a lot of what I was exposed to growing up in terms of queer bodies, queer people, queer icons was limited and not very expansive. And I think that through experience and through witnessing and through discovery, either within yourself or within other people in other communities, you find knowledge and awareness of parts of yourself and parts of the world, which are then inherently part of yourself, that you didn't know before. I think what I was thinking is you cannot love what you do not know. I did not come up with that. But I think that I didn't know the queer community, and I didn't know the queerness in myself, and therefore I could not love it and feel love from it.
What have you had to unlearn?
Yeah, I would say I've had to unlearn transphobia at different levels of my life. First, when I was coming to terms with the fact that I even could be trans. And then later, after starting my social and medical transition, having to come to the terms with I was not a binary trans man, and wondering what that meant, and kind of questioning why I cared if other people would think that it was me detransitioning or not being fully trans and not being trans enough. And I've really, I think in the past year and a half, have really completely unlearned that, or at least, life's a process of learning. You're always learning. But really just going with however I'm feeling in the moment, and not feeling like I have to look or act any which way in order for my transness to be what it is and completely valid in itself. And I think that I was really taught, partially from society in general and also within my own family, transphobia specifically against trans women. And I think it's really important for people to really watch their remarks, no matter how small they are, especially around younger people, because you never know who someone's going to be, and even if someone isn't trans, those comments can be really harmful.
How has queerness shaped the way that you express yourself through fashion, art, language, or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, queerness has shaped all things for me, but specifically with fashion, I love going for color, and I love going for weird, and I love going for things that are gonna move when I wanna dance, and I love things that are gonna get to show off my flat chest, and I really love shopping in any section. I don't care what the label says on a piece of clothing. If it speaks to me, I'm gonna wear it. And you know, I am really sad to say that a few years ago I threw out all of my earrings that I had, that multiple people had given me throughout the years, that they had given to me as a young girl, and that I had attached to that identity. And I did throw them away. I did not give them away. I threw them in the trash along with every bra and smaller piece of underwear and anything that tied me to femininity, and to be rid of it, to prove to others my transness and my being a man, whatever that means. And that's bullshit. And I've had so much fun wearing jewelry and earrings like this that are expressive and fun and make loud noises when I move my head around.
How has it shaped the way that you express yourself through fashion, art, language, or anything else?
Ooh. I think I've spoken a lot about queerness being fluid and fluidity, and I think a lot of my art is trying to capture movement and fluidity and putting that onto a page. I think I try to capture that part of it, that part of queerness that is malleable but strong and present but liquid. And I think in fashion, I find myself being drawn towards either super bright colors and long dresses and lipstick to baggy pants, not skinny jeans, and big belt buckles and steel toe boots. And I think that it also, my queerness impacts how I work with people, but also kids, and specifically kids, because if I can, just by my existence as myself and in my clothing and in my being, show that you can be whatever and whoever you want to be at any time, as long as you're showing kindness and compassion and respect, then that is success to me, and that is beautiful to me.
What's a rule about gender or love that you have gleefully broken?
Gleefully broken? Ooh, intimacy is not just for romantic relationships. I think that some of the most meaningful, fulfilling loves that I have in my life are not romantic. And I want to grow old with them and raise my kids with them.
What role do friendships and chosen family play in your life?
Friendship and chosen families. It's like the same thing to me.
Yeah, me too.
I am so lucky to have, I'm feeling so grateful today. I'm so lucky to have wonderful, queer, creative people in my life that just want the best for one another and want each other to grow and allow space to exist and fluctuate and change, but also feels like a warm cupped hands, to kind of fall into if you fly just a little too close to the sun maybe, or you need to touch down to earth, or you just need some warmth and love. And I think that those friends and chosen family of mine hold me so close, and I hold them so close.
Having relationships that both have spaces for joy and celebration and love and also accountability and questioning are just so powerful and important to me. And having people that will, hold me accountable and also celebrate me at the same time is just like really beautiful and just creates such a space for changing and evolving and still having that love that'll be there.
What is a rule about gender or love that you've gleefully broken?
Well, a rule about love that I have most gleefully broken is the one of assumed monogamy between people. And it's been it's been wonderful. And it's also been really hilarious retrospectively. I did not realize that not everybody had multiple crushes on people since they were 5 years old. And I did not realize that people were always curious about different connections at the same time, and could have equally strong feelings for people at the same time and want to explore them all. And I've been really fortunate in the past year to be able to explore non-monogamy, and specifically T for T, like trans for trans non-monogamy, and I could go on and on about it, and it's been absolutely magical, and I'm really grateful for it. And a societal rule I've broken about gender has been being open and out and non-stealth in my transness and queerness, and I never hold back from wearing what I want to wear and expressing myself in the ways that I'd like. And I'll tell anybody and everyone that I'm trans, and I'll have my head high about it.
If queerness were a color, sound, or texture, what would it be for you?
I think if queerness were texture and sound, it would be sweaty, glittery skin and laughter and moving bodies and dancing.
I love that.
Thank you.
Color, something we can't see. I'm talking rainbow shrimp. I don't know if y'all...
Shrimp?
Okay.
What the fuck is rainbow shrimp?
I'm so glad you asked. They're like one of the most poisonous animals, or like devious carnivorous animals on the earth.
Okay.
So rainbow shrimp, and also like butterflies, they're colors that are maybe not visible to us, and they're so vast, and there's so many of them, and
So vast.
let me cook here, you know? There's something, it's every color that we can see, but mostly it's every color that we can't see. Queerness is still there, even if you can't see it, and my God, is it colorful. It is bright, it is everywhere around us, but maybe some people just can't see it. And that's okay, because, you know, at least the butterflies can see it. And I think us queers are butterflies. That's what I think. If queerness was a texture, it would be bark, and it would be sand, and it would be clay, and it would be a feather boa, and it would be rhinestones and mud and salty water and like a cake pop. Like, you know, like the texture of the inside of a cake pop.
Do I?
And like the crunch of sprinkles at the outside of the cake pop. But mostly I think it would be kinetic sand.
I love that.
If I could go back and give advice to my younger self about queerness, there would be a few things, and number one would be, do not rush it. And it does not matter what other people think. And people are really scared of the unknown. People are really freaked out about someone they can't pin down and define, and that's not your business, and that's their business. And just explore and find what feels good, and don't stress the labels if they're not bringing you comfort and they're bringing you stress, and focus on experiences and feeling rather than words and explanations for other people's needs and comfort, because at the end of the day, it's not about them, and it has never been about them.
What is a piece of queer joy that you hold on to no matter what?
I don't even know if it's a piece, but just like getting to exist and like thrive and live instead of surviving and just waiting until the after of coming out, and just being in it and existing and actually being able to envision my future. Maybe it's not a piece, but that is one of the most important parts of queer joy that I am so lucky to experience.